Samuel Pepys and Evelyn wrote diaries, and a number of persons such as Lord Herbert of Sherbury and Bunyan wrote autobiographies. The journals, diaries, and biographies, which were published in the 17th century, suggested a new and a realistic way of storytelling. Moreover, there were the letters dealing with contemporary life. Howell had popularized the habit of publishing family letters. Margaret, Duchess of Newcastle, wrote sociable letters in which her avowed aim was to express, under cover of letters, the humors of mankind. Thus, see that the various elements of the novel had been produced, and it only required a genius to fuse them together and create the first real English novel. The most anticipations of the novel proper are to be found in the works of Bunyan, Defoe, and Swift, and in the Roger de Courley papers of Addison and Steele. Bunyan showed great power of character painting, of admirable narrative, and of creating the illusion of reality in works such as The Pilgrim's Progress, The Holy War, and The Life and Death of Mr. Badman. The illusion of reality is produced by Bunyan's naturalness of diction, freedom from all extravagances, and the introduction of numerous matter of fact touches. His abstractions like Mr. Badman, worldly wise man, faithful and pliable, are more human and living than the characters of any novel published up to his time. Realism contains, or rather, realism attains its highest triumph before the birth of the novel proper, in the words of Defoe and Swift. Defoe's chief merit is that he achieved the complete illusion of reality, and this illusion is produced by the accumulation of little facts and trivial incidents, which in the bulk become very effective. It is thus trivial and apparently unimportant facts that capture our imagination. For Defoe is deliberately extremely matter of fact and introduces neither flights of poetry nor extravagances. Robinson Crusoe, his masterpiece, may be said to mark a new era in the writing of prose fiction. In Robinson Crusoe and in his picaresque romances like Malflanders and Colonel Jack, Defoe gives, or rather, Defoe gave us for the first time perhaps real story interest. Defoe's important works of fiction belong to the early years of the 18th century and consistently show a love of minute detail. Swift used Defoe's methods to gain credence for his Gulliver Travels, 1726 to 1727. Here again we find the same solemn verisimilitude, the same accumulation of innumerable significant facts. Like Defoe, Swift too cannot be called technically a novelist, but his powers of realistic narrative are astonishing. The Cowley papers, published in the Spectator by Addison and Steele, cannot be called a novel, for they lack continuity and have no plot. But it is possible to make a novel out of these little essays without much trouble. Besides, these Cowley papers possess many of the qualities of novel: good dialogue and description, and some excellent humorous character drawing. The novel comes completely into its own in the 18th century with the four wheels of the novel vein: Richardson and Fielding, Smalley and Sterne. Richardson is the first English novelist, and his Pamela, published in 1740, the first English novel. All his three novels, Pamela, Clarissa Harlowe, and Sir Charles Grandison, are written in the form of letters and deal respectively with low life, middle class life, and high life. Richardson created a new species, the novel of sentiment, with elaborate psychological analysis. He excelled in sentimental analysis, in an intimate portrayal of the human, particularly of the feminine heart. The plots of his novels are thin and flimsy. None of the novels give us real story interest. Richardson has other limitations too. He absolutely lacks humor, his morality is low pitched, and his plot construction is far from perfect. College says that the atmosphere of his novels is that of a sick room heated by stoves. Okay? And that his contemporary Fielding makes his reader into an open lawn on a breezy day in May. Fielding is in many ways in strange contrast with Richardson. Fielding had a genius for comedy, while Richardson was a psychologist. Fielding was a satirist and humorist, while Richardson was a sentimentalist. Again, Richardson was, as Riley says, a classic moralist who laid more stress on moral code, while Fielding was a romantic moralist who laid most stress on native impulse and goodness of heart. Fielding's first novel, Joseph Andrews, published in 1742, begins as a parody of Pamela. His other novels, Jonathan Wild the Great, Tom Jones, Fielding's masterpiece episodic. There are picturesque stories of adventures whose ancestry can be traced back to Gil Blas, Don Quixote, and Robinson Crusoe. Fielding contributed many things to the novel. He taught the artistic manipulation of the novel, artistic manipulation of the plot, which is an organic whole, and he produced a gallery of portraits. He created some fine characters like Parson Adams, Sophia, Tom and Amelia. His realism too is a great advance. Fielding is indeed the first great realist in the history of the English novel. Thank you for this much. The next part we will be taking Small A. Small A is actually contemporary of Fielding and Richardson, and of course he had some different zest for the bustle of life. Thank you.